Welcome to Unleashed. Hello, everyone, and we have a full house here in our rather large studio space. We've
keep the echo down out there.
Yeah, if everyone could keep quiet. Hi, everyone. I am James. On the far right of me is
Brock.
Beside him,
Andrew.
And this guy is
Rob.
And you might know these two from Vote of No Confidence. Well, they will be arguing everything and all things Star Wars. And Brock and I, of course, do other talking.
Yeah.
Today we want to do an Unleash, and there's four of us here for a reason. We were all in the same room, so we said let's just do it with all four of us. But the other reason is we want to talk to you about Star Wars spin-off films. Now, Star Wars Celebration has come and gone, and we have not learned anything new regarding the spin-offs and what's to come and what will be and what wasn't going to be. And I was in line for the closing ceremonies, and I was very close to the front of the line for the first time all weekend. It was very exciting. But the people in front of me were like, "Oh, Ewan McGregor's coming out. They're going to announce Obi-Wan." And they were literally like saying, "Oh, they're going to announce Obi-Wan. If they don't announce Obi-Wan, I'm going to lose it." And I text you, Andrew, and I said, people are excited. Like, the reason I knew it wasn't going to happen is because the closing ceremonies, as I've said before, was on multiple stages. And there was no way that they were going to be like, they're going to have people come out in the 6,000 person stage where they never had anybody all weekend. That wasn't the one where they did things like that. So I said, there's no way. So we never got any of that. But then, right after Celebration, because that's how things happen, Kathleen Kennedy came out and said that in midsummer, they will announce the standalone films, the next spin-off films, the next standalones. So so I'm looking at the schedule, like, well, when do you do it? Do you do it? Then there was San Diego Comic-Con was the big one that people would mention, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make any sense to me personally, because Disney has all but left San Diego Comic-Con for their own celebrations. And the one I want to bring up now, D23.
That's right.
So I looked at D23, and I'm looking at the schedule, and on Saturday, July 15th, that's the Lucasfilm Day. Is Saturday, July 15th. Is that the day where they come out and they say the next Star Wars film will be...
Bring back
Salacious Crumb.
Damn. I just want to see what you guys say. But is that... Let's do this without saying what it's going to be. Is that the day, Brock? Is that the day we are going to learn about the next Star Wars film?
Oh, I would argue
I
yes.
just broke my knee.
Careful, these are expensive IKEA desks that we use. I would assume we're getting very close to Last Jedi. Han Solo. We'll probably start to see something in the next half year, I would assume, right? They gotta they've already hit us up with you're gonna get movies till 2030. Is that the exact date?
Well, sometime in the 2030s, I think they said.
So they gotta start doing something else, because if they figured it out, I don't know. I mean, I know they're aware that they throw out this information and we will lose our minds, our collective minds. I would argue that's a good time, because we're not getting a celebration next year, correct? So
which makes sense now when you think of it.
Yeah.
Han Solo comes out in May, so when do you do Celebration? But then Episode 9 comes out in May, so it doesn't even make sense to have it in July of that. You know what I mean? So it's really tough to do it at all next year. Andrew, is D23 July 15th, is that when we're learning the next spin-off?
Oh, hell yeah, James. That's coming up. I think not only are we going to learn the next spin-off, I think that's when they'll do... Again, they always talked about, this is coming up, the title for Han Solo. I always just assumed it was going to be called Han Solo or just Solo, but apparently there's a big title reveal coming. So maybe it's called, I don't know, Han Solo and the Chamber of Secrets. I don't know, but we're getting some kind of title there on that day too. And you know what? I know it's really, really far out, but I would not be too surprised if they also drop a title for Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's
D23?
far. Yeah, possible? It's far out. 2020, I think. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were like,
year.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the title, just so you know what to expect, because we know you're going to be waiting long.
Right.
So here's some speculation. Have fun for the next year and a half.
Rob, are we learning the title, The Scoundrel, the Bear, and the Station Wagon?
My Han Solo pitch is Red Solo Cup. That's gonna be what's gonna be called. But
that's the
Red
already
Cup
the
is what it's called.
That's already the talk. Okay, yeah. regardless, aside from that, yeah, I think we'll find out then, or maybe even before then. Maybe they would announce it separately because maybe they would say to themselves, "Hey, we can do this announcement on a separate day." Much like Marvel and stuff like that. They don't announce on these movies always at these conventions. Mm-hmm. They announce other things there, but then they would tell you like, "Okay, this movie's coming out before then," and then make that event completely separate, so they can kind of own 2 separate days, right? So you could say like, "Hey, whatever." July 3rd is when we find out about it, and they own that day of news, and the next couple days because everybody will be talking about that, and then for the build up to that, everybody's going to want to go there still to find out other stuff. Right. So I do think we'll find out on that day or before. I don't think it'll be after.
Andrew, is the Obi-Wan film a foregone conclusion at this point?
Yes, but not necessarily the one that's next to be announced. It seems like the new Lucasfilm has been the kind of people they know what our expectations are and they orbit them, but they don't give it to that. They don't give us what we're expecting when we're expecting it. It's like that, like at Christmas time when you really, really want, Tickle Me Elmo, and you open up all the presents that are addressed to you, and there's no Elmo, but then there's one more hiding in the back that doesn't have anybody's name on it, and that's Elmo. Mm-hmm. I think that's what this Obi-Wan situation is going to be like, is that whatever we get announced come July is going to be something different, and we'll be like, oh, okay, neat. And then Obi-Wan's going to come at some point in the near future. But I think they know. Everybody there knows the Obi-Wan love. Ewan McGregor is ready. Everybody's ready. So it's just a matter of when they tell us, not if they tell us. And I think they're savoring that and saving it for a time where they can kind of catch us off guard.
Brock.
Yep.
July 15th, Lucasfilm at D23.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen Kennedy walks out.
Yep.
In 2020, we will have a bounty hunter film. And in 2021, an Obi-Wan film.
Right.
Happening?
I believe more in a bounty hunter film than an Obi-Wan. I know that's surprising because I'm pretty psyched about the Obi-Wan stuff they've been doing in the comics, but I don't know, what is the movie about? I think it's
somebody knows.
I think it's just I need a pitch on what it would be. I mean, yeah, the easiest answer is he's on Tatooine watching Luke. Okay, and maybe you throw in Jabba the Hutt because those are all characters that don't require any specific person to look a certain age, right? Like it's all pretty much people in costumes, and now with CG you can make anybody in there. You could drop an Alden Ehrenreich in there. That'd be kind of cool. Okay, I've sold myself. Obi-Wan. But you know what I mean? Like it's just what kind of story can we tell in Tatooine? Unless we're to start with he's traveling, running across a galaxy, trying to find a place to hide her. But do we know that he goes directly? I guess we don't. After the Revenge of the Sith, does he go directly to Tatooine?
Well, he drops Luke off, but yeah, who knows what happens.
Maybe I'm splitting too many hairs here. Let's just get it announced first. But you know what I mean? It's just
yeah, we were talking about this, I think, on the May the 4th podcast about
right. which we haven't done yet.
Oh, seriously, this is being released? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Keep going.
Okay. Well, either way, what we talked about, what we were going to talk about on that podcast is that the Obi-Wan film and about what it could be. We were talking about that was the big gap in between those episode 3 and episode 4. But there's another big gap in Obi-Wan's story before Phantom Menace in terms of how he would have joined the Jedi Order, how he met Qui-Gon and whatnot. So maybe this Obi-Wan film could more be a split type of thing where he's on Tatooine, but he's also flashing back to how he joined the Jedi Order and how he met Qui-Gon, how he met Yoda, how he met all those people. So I think that's the other option.
Right.
That's what they could possibly do.
I like that. Flashbacks. You'll have a story on Tatooine, which is probably going to be minimal because the Junlin Wastes are a minimal place to live, and break that up sort of Lost style with maybe he drops off baby Luke, but he doesn't stay there right away because maybe he's got unfinished business. He's looking for Jedi. Right. He's go to Coruscant. So that could really there could have been something in the interim that's super interesting that connects with what's happening on Tatooine now that he'll learn from.
What if it was something like Tales of the Jedi, where the basis is Obi-Wan living on Tatooine, maybe writing in his journal, but then we cut away to a Qui-Gon story or a young Obi-Wan story or a young Yoda story or I don't know, whatever. I mean, I think that's very unique for a movie, but they're kind of doing that in the comics where like the journal of Obi-Wan has now gone to a whole Yoda story that he heard of later.
It's almost grindhousey.
Yeah, they could. I don't think it's one of the next movies, but like that could be a possibility. I mean, if Han Solo's a success, sky's the limit, I suppose.
What if they go Bounty Hunter 2020, Obi-Wan 2021, but the Bounty Hunter film is with the bounty hunters, and there's some kind of something that they have to get, and they all get together. They're like, okay, let's form our team. We're the bounty hunter squad or whatever, right? And they go
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, they're the Suicide Squad. But they do it, and they get what they need to get, and then they bring it back. They get their money, and then he's like, I have something else for you. A Jedi. And they hand them the flyer, and they look, and their next mission is to kill Obi-Wan. But then the Obi-Wan film isn't about them coming for Obi-Wan. It's about Obi-Wan. That leads to that, and then the 2022 film is them coming together.
That I could get behind.
In one big thing.
That's the way of them actually marvelizing their universe. They're going to do it because after these episodic films, those are the things that could really get them, the fans behind something like that. It's like suddenly, oh my god, I got to watch all these movies, not just pick and choose.
Build up,
give
some build up for something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like that.
Just a
I
thought.
can dig it.
I mean, they're going to make movies until the end of time. So at some point, are they going to? Because I was talking on the nerdy news hour last week about the MCU and how Kevin Feige said that it might not be the the phases are going. They're not going to come in phases anymore going forward. That's a possibility. And we were talking about it, and the one thing that it does kind of get a little bit stale is like, okay, well, this has to connect to this now. Like, just why can't this guy's movie or this woman's movie just take place in this separate film storyline, and then 3 later they meet and collide, and then all of a sudden we're more excited because you don't really sprinkle in. It's like the Hulk exists, Iron Man exists, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, they know, like, you know what I mean? That's how it was 10 years ago before they started all this phase things. That's why like Star Wars now has the opportunity to start the phases before we get tired of them necessarily.
So to start this entire thing, is it Mace Windu that just shows up out of nowhere and just says, you're a part of a bigger universe or something like that?
Like that hasn't happened already?
I think.
What did I watch?
What are the odds, though? Well, never tell me the odds. What would the odds be of them coming out, and it's not the bounty hunter film that we all suspect, because Trank was on board for a Boba Fett film, if you remember, and Simon Kinberg really wants a Boba Fett film. Like, he talks about it endlessly in a bunch of interviews, so he really wants it. And what if it's not the Obi-Wan film that Ewan McGregor really wants, and whether or not anybody else does, we don't know or care. Ewan McGregor wants it, so we're all on board. What if she comes in and says, okay, just so you know, our 2020 film is Old Republic, and we're going to follow Yoda's journey through the Old Republic.
Oh, so is he a young Yoda?
Yeah.
Ooh, I could get behind that. I've seen a lot of fan stuff, and I'm like, because he has like hair and stuff.
Yeah, the reason I put Yoda in there is because from a production standpoint, you look out at the audience. You're like, okay, we're going to do this Old Republic story. We've done Rogue One. No one's in Rogue One. But Vader sells Vader. The Death Star is a Death. Like, you have that. So the Old Republic now, there's nothing but lightsabers that could tie anything together. So now what do? They're like, well, let's throw a young Yoda in there before he's the old wise Yoda, and we can we don't have to learn how he got wise, but we can see the first, little bit of his life in that. And now that could be your new saga, and you can do Old Republic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go back, show old Rey, old Finn, dead Poe.
Wow.
So it's sort of like adapting.
You know what? This episode is over. Get out of my house.
Mute.
But so sort of adapting like what I'm assuming Peter Jackson wanted to do with the Hobbits, where it's just like you get Bilbo when he's young, right?
Well, yeah, but
compared to Lord of the Rings, and then you get Yoda when he's young.
But you need a character that the audience can identify with and know, and that's why I'm throwing Yoda, because who else? Well, Maz, I guess you could throw Maz Kanata in there, but I don't think, from what we know right now, I don't think that would be. Oh, well, first of all, she's not Yoda.
Snoke.
She's not as popular as Snoke is. Yeah, but then
I'm still banking that we'll see Maz and Han Solo.
You have to see a Maz and Han Solo. I think you can't. I say you have to, but you've gone out of your way to say that they've known each other, that she's 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
And not only do they know each other, but she hasn't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
So
maybe that we find out why they don't like each other, or why they haven't seen each other in a long time.
yeah.
And throw Chewbacca in there for the rom-com moments between her and
maybe
Maz
that's why.
Kanata.
Maybe that's why, because she was jealous that Chewie left with Han. I like that Wookiee. Brock, what are some of the spin-offs that you actually would like to see?
Ewoks, Escape from New York. It would be nice. I've said it in other things. It would be nice to know what happened between A New Hope, or not New Hope, Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, which I think really is going to be the next cartoon.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
That's Battlefront 2 also now.
And Battlefront 2. Sorry, I think last time we talked about this was hand in hand with Battlefront 2. I think they need to stay away from the old characters. I mean, unless everyone's just comfortable with CG characters being the main. Imagine that you got a 1977 Mark Hamill and his adventures at Tashi Station. Like, I think an X-wing fighter, like a Red Squadron or Rogue Squadron, or Rogue 2, if you want to call it that, something along those lines. But maybe not right after the first one. Like, just put it in somewhere between. It's like, oh, we gotta go meet Commander Skywalker. He's over on Hoth. It's like, no, we have to go do this. Like, there's no reason why there couldn't have been something. Or hell, just recast Wedge and put. I think I've said this before. Like, that would be very interesting. I think that was a character that they could. Well, I think they explored it quite a bit in comics and what have you, and books as well. Outside of that, I don't know. I think I said it before. An underworld would be very good. Like seeing, the black markets of Nar Shaddaa or Coruscant. But I think we can cover that with Han Solo quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess the question is, what is that third anthology movie going to be? Because I think that sets a precedence of where you can go.
Yeah.
I think
and maybe that's where Andrew's on the right track. Where that it's not going to be Obi-Wan. It's going to be next. Maybe Obi-Wan is the next, like the second one coming up. But the next one is the one that's going to set the stage for more.
We're getting. Sorry, was Inferno the Battlefront 2 one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was okay? Yeah. Sorry. So Inferno was the First Order, or no? Sorry, the Empire's view.
Inferno Squad, yeah.
So let's do a movie like that where we see the Empire side of it. I don't know how interesting.
They're going very far with that, but in the novels, I don't think that people are ready to watch a movie.
Possibly, yeah.
Like even the Thrawn novel, it kind of paints this picture of where you're like, I'm kind of siding with the Empire right now.
Yeah.
But like, as in a film, I don't know if people want to be on that side. And
I don't think so either.
Rob, what spin-offs do you want to see happen?
Aside from ones we mentioned, another. I mean, I'm still a proponent. I would love to see an actual Shadows of the Empire movie, which would be amazing. But aside from that, I mean, obviously we've always heard about it, and there's been books and stuff about it. But if we're gonna do an origin of Han Solo movie, then might as well maybe do Palpatine. Palpatine would always be a good one to find more about, at least in a theatrical version of it, right? Because just the fact that you're doing a Han Solo movie, which a lot of people could say that it's not really required, but at the same time, if it's good, then maybe you look into seeing more of the other people's origins.
I love it's not required, or what's pointless. Aren't they all at some point pointless when you think about it? Like they're all pointless. It's a film, and it's going to be a damn fun film.
Yeah,
Han Solo is. Everyone loves Han Solo, right?
Yeah.
Does anyone not love Han Solo? I know you. Well, you love Han Solo. Stop it.
Was he one of my worst characters?
No, that was Emperor Palpatine. Was your number one?
Yeah.
Andrew, you definitely don't want to see a Palpatine film. What films would you like to see?
What would I like? I still haven't written off the idea of a Knights of Ren movie. I think that's coming. Not only do I want it, I think it's actually coming, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the next one they announced.
But sorry to cut you off. I'm not cutting you off. Could they announce it now? Because nobody knows the Knights of Ren. hardcore is no Knights of Ren, but the average.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a throwaway line that Snoke says. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe after Last Jedi, I do agree with you that there's one coming, or they're talking about one, but I don't know if that's enough. Anyway, sorry, go on.
No, you're right. But those of us who will be keeping our finger on the pulse at D23, we are the hardcores. So you can make that announcement, and for D23, and then after Last Jedi, when everybody knows the words Knights of Ren, you can make that announcement again in a much more public way. I mean, like, not everybody really keeps, like, I could go to one of my friends who loves Disney movies and say D23 and they won't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I could, after this movie comes out, after Last Jedi, drop the Knights of Ren as like an announcement to the world, and then watch that build up really start to snowball.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do.
Celebration would have been a better spot to drop that, though.
No, Celebration was strange because there was a lot to talk about. I mean, Han Solo was not mentioned at all, but we got Last Jedi, which we were craving, and I think putting the main focus on the 40th was smart because you only get 1/40th, and like, God, I can only imagine what they're going to do 10 years from now. But
it won't be as good.
You don't think so?
I don't think it can be.
We
probably won't have John Williams anymore.
Yeah.
It just
Possibly not Harrison Ford.
Stop it.
Jinxing everything.
I'm sure
We'll have Warwick Davis. That's all we need.
Warwick Davis and Michael Giacchino will come out and do the score from Rogue One. And Brock and Aaron will be like, this is primitive. That's what it'll be. Oh, I know, but I'm sure in 10 years there'll be, there's going to be 10 years worth of movies to go on for that anniversary. It'll be a completely different experience. I shouldn't say it won't be as good. It will not have the John Williams factor.
No.
I mean, an orchestra could come on and they could play John Williams music, but that's what, anyway.
But that's my point. Like, it's, I think what we got at this celebration was what we needed to get for this celebration. And announcing it anywhere, like you said, Comic-Con, no, that doesn't fit. Save that for Marvel, save that for your other properties. But I think D23 is the way to go, and I think that if this is a Knights of Ren movie, it's a good place to, like, remember, we knew Alden Ehrenreich was Han Solo before they made the announcement.
That was the terrible.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be that sort of same kind of thing where it's like the hardcores will know because we're, try to stop us from finding out. But then, everybody else is going to find out in a more organic way. And to them, it's going to be a big thing because at that point, they'll have heard about this. They'll be like, what's this Knights thing? I don't remember this in the other films. And then you're getting one. You're getting one about them. So that's how I see it.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. I could see that because if you announce it, then the average film goer goes, well, what the frick are they talking about?
Yeah.
Then in this movie, we learn a lot more about them in Last Jedi. Then it justifies it.
What if they announced a family-focused movie or a kids movie, like the Disney version of a Star Wars thing?
So you want Caravan of Courage?
Yes. No, but like, I don't know, it popped into my head. It was like, because I was like, I'm gonna say something funny like Cad Bane 2024, like Chewbacca, but it's basically the Ewoks movie, but like done well in a sense. Like he goes, well, I guess he can't talk, so Chewbacca's not a good choice, but it's like, like just goofy. But this, I don't know.
No,
is there a possibility?
I think it's a possibility. I think the problem is we live in this stupid post Deadpool world for the time being, and that's going to pass once are we going to get a Deadpool movie?
Deadpool Star Wars?
Deadpool Star Wars. But we live in this era now because Deadpool did so well, then Logan did well.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, once one of them tanks, but I think right now everyone's like, we got to go dark.
They don't have new ideas. Sorry.
But
no one has ideas. And
at the same time, though, Disney, the thing that you're saying about family-oriented is that Disney with Marvel is finally trying out to do... well, I think it's actually Sony, but regardless, they're trying to do an animated superhero movie that's getting released in theaters, like with that Miles Morales Spider-Man
yes,
movie.
okay, yeah.
So maybe that's one of the things that Star Wars have tried. It's
Right.
like they did try with Clone Wars, the movie. That didn't work that well.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll try another one and make it more family-oriented like that.
Yeah.
They
But
could do
just-
that, but then where does this? Then you do. It would be for kids only though, because the thing is, even like you do, like DC has all their animated films and everyone loves them and they raves about them, but the people
They're not theatrical.
But
yeah.
they're not theatrical. But the theatrical, even still, look at what Disney's doing now. All their animated films are becoming live action, and people take to them like they're real films now.
Yeah.
It's like, I saw Beauty and the Beast, and I said, I like the cartoon better, and people are like, "Are you nuts? There weren't people in that." Like, there's always going to be this like thing, though. Well, I did like the cartoon of Beauty and the Beast better. I'm sorry, I did.
No, I did.
I didn't even-
Don't even start,
I
Andrew.
didn't
I
even
see you looking at me.
I didn't even see
No.
the new Beauty and the Beast because I'm still licking my wounds from that last
The last Beauty and the Beast.
from the
Jungle Book?
The Jungle Book.
The Jungle Book. I don't even know if it was better than the Jungle Book. I couldn't tell you because I know how you feel, but I can't. I feel like I just want to stay out of that conversation with you. And I know, Brock, you can't because his feelings on the Jungle Book are so they're deep. You don't want.
He's been cut deep.
I guess it's just what are the necessities, the bare necessities.
Yes.
The simple bare necessity.
Where were we?
Oh, the animated films.
Yeah.
To the audience, a cartoon animated, as good as it is, will always be a cartoon. It's like you could have your Rebels series, but if you put a live action series, that live action series is always going to trump
true.
the cartoon. You could come out with a cartoon, but it's going to be like a novel, like how we read the books in the comics. That's how it's.
There's still a stigma, like
Yes.
Fox has The Simpsons, Family Guy, all that stuff on Sunday nights and what have you, and they can push the envelope, but they haven't really done that in films in that medium. I mean, like Sausage Fest was probably the most recent, and there has been R-rated cartoons, but
there's that stigma of they're a cartoon still. Even if it's for adults, it's still a cartoon. That's the comics and novels. Do you know what I mean? Like people won't read a comic, but they'll read a novel with the exact same story as that comic, and that's just how we're wired in that direction.
Mm-hmm. I just think the animated movies have changed quite a bit too, because just the Pixar movies in general, the aesthetic that they took, where it's like, hey, our animated movies don't just have to be for kids.
Right.
They can be very much enjoyed by adults at the same time by taking very adult themes and putting them in there, along with very fun and zany characters and cool visuals that kids will really get attracted to. Because even though Rogue One made the most, I think, domestically out of any movie last year, second most was Finding Dory. Right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you put an animated Star Wars film here and a live action Star Wars film here, the animated one, it's not gonna resonate like the live action one does. People just don't they don't accept animation as a real. They'll go see Finding Dory because they can see it because it's funny, it's for their kids, and it's colorful. That's why they're gonna see it. But that's a different reason than Star Wars.
But go ahead.
So maybe they would. The thing that would be about it is that they would maybe wait until after next year, after that Spider-Man movie comes out, and see how that movie does, because you got a Spider-Man movie coming out this year, live action, and then not even a year and a half later, there's going to be the Miles Morales, where it's a different Spider-Man on top of that.
But it's not in the
movie.
But the other thing though is it's not in the same universe. The Spider-Man cartoon one, even if
Have
it
they announced
says
that it's
it
not
doesn't
in the
matter.
universe?
Even if it is in the same universe, we're going to see it. It's not going to be the same universe because it's animated versus live action. So no matter what, they're not the same universe. Even if you tell me it's the same universe, it's never going to be the same universe because our brains are not going to allow it to be the same universe because it's animated and live action.
Yeah, it'll only be the hardcore ones that really acknowledge it that way, if it is.
And I bet you it would be a forced acknowledgement too.
Well, I think we all acknowledge that Clone Wars and Rebels is in the same universe, right?
I was just
But it's not. Do you know what I mean? There's it's tough.
it's like we say, the movies are separate.
Yeah.
Because it's I was just gonna say, it's you're right. The Pixar movies are very good. Like Inside Out is a crazy movie when you really boil it down, or the opening of Up, right? But those movies, and I'm not saying about the quality of those movies. The movies are great. My parents, I always bring this up. My parents did not see that movie. My parents have seen Finding Dory because I rented it at Christmas and we watched it.
Right.
My dad's like, "Oh, this is great." It's like, "Have you ever watched Finding Nemo?" And they're like, "No," because I wasn't a kid at the time when that came out. It's an excellent movie. I love that movie. I love all the Pixar movies.
Yeah.
But the general public is not gonna see all those movies. So I guess that's where James is coming from. It's sort of like,
$2 billion are going to be live action. And you might be lucky to get $1 billion on a Star Wars cartoon. Is what I'm saying. Because the other thing is Pixar has a brand, DreamWorks has their brand, Disney has their brand. Star Wars is not an animated brand. No. So all of a sudden you're like, go see this Star Wars cartoon. It's like, I'll wait for Netflix. Or if I have kids, sure, but if I don't have kids, why am I going to waste my time on this? Where's Rey?
Because at the same time, unless you're in Illumination Studios, animated movies are still incredibly expensive to make. Probably just as expensive, at least what Star Wars would do with an animated movie.
Right.
Like I think Finding Dory cost them like almost $200 million to make. I mean, so it's an expensive genre to get into, regardless.
At the end of the day, you have, like I brought this up before, you have a certain expectation in your brain for something that already exists, and you want to see it again existing on the big screen. And like I said in an earlier episode a few months ago, the Ninja Turtles, I wanted to see Ninja Turtles 4 or a reboot. What I got instead in 2007 was a Ninja Turtles animated movie. And I saw it, and I enjoyed it for what it was, but that was like drinking a Diet Coke when I wanted a Dr. Pepper. And
that's a weird want and a weird what you got. Like, everything about that was weird.
I think that, like, I love Toy Story.
Yeah.
If they told me they're making a live action Toy Story, I'd be like, you don't have to, man.
It would still be a cartoon.
You don't have to do that.
That's what Lion King's will be too, right?
Yeah.
So much a cartoon.
It's like you're saying, to flip it around, when you have this world that's based in live action, and even though you've had cartoons, the cartoons have been on TV. The one time they brought a cartoon to the theater for the Clone Wars movie, everybody hated it. It's the worst grossing Star Wars cinematic movie of all time. So when you cross it over like that, that's when you run into the danger of giving somebody what you want for money's sake instead of giving the fans what they want. And when you want something, you go to one source for something, you go to another for another. If I go to the theater, I want to see Star Wars in live action. If I stay at home and turn on my TV, it's because I want to see Star Wars in cartoon form. Because that's all I do. I don't watch anything else.
You don't. You only have Disney XD.
Yeah, that's it. And it's a pirated copy of Disney XD. So you have to understand what your audience wants when they want it. I'm not saying Star Wars animation is bad. I'm just saying there's a time and place for it. And my local Cineplex Odeon theater is not that place or time.
Yet.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got 2 more topics to go on. So John Knoll, the special effect. Well, this is going to be short topics. Special effects supervisor extraordinaire, also came up with Rogue One. He pitched Rogue One, and it became a success.
Oh yes.
And we saw him at Celebration talk briefly because they were out of time.
Right.
He says he has a new spin-off idea. Seeing Rogue One. Are you greenlighting this project the minute he pitches it? He hasn't pitched it yet. He said he's waiting. He's going to develop a little bit more. He knows that Star Wars is going to last so long.
Yeah.
He's like, so I have this idea. I'm going to tweak it, work on it. Do you greenlight it immediately, Brock?
Oh God, no. Like, come on, just pitch first. Like, every time I hear something like that happening, you're just like, that's crazy.
What if it is Two Tubes and Morov's Funny Adventure?
Sorry, James, gonna have to pass.
The word "funny" is
it's a cartoon. It's an animated.
It's like it's the starting cartoon before full length feature.
Before The Last Jedi, you sit through that 5 minutes. It's them and minions.
They all say banana for some reason. Yeah, I read that as well. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But like, he's like, I'm 75% done. I'm like, oh, buy it. Like, I've heard that before. Where like, especially with comics, where it's like, this has already been optioned for a movie. I'm like,
yeah, and
that was 10 years ago, and that's nothing's ever come of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't.
His knowledge of Star Wars and who he is.
Oh yeah, I get that, but
what is the story?
I don't know.
Andrew, you buying it?
No.
Because why?
Because Rogue One didn't have a damn crawl. That's what. No,
he had nothing to do with the crawl.
Because I wouldn't buy anything unless I heard the pitch first. Even Star Wars. Because what if he literally says I'm pitching the Pit Droid movie? It could be an amazing movie, but I don't want to sign anything in blood until I know what's on the contract.
So what's wrong with Pit Droids?
everything, except for the way they look, act, and talk.
But see, I didn't know who John Knoll was before Celebration, so it doesn't like the name doesn't put any reassurance
to you though, but to
and I can value that he means something, but I don't know.
Is a genius, Rob?
Yeah, I gotta agree with them as well. Like for the most part, like I can't automatically buy whatever he's selling because he could be selling me something I don't want, right? Like if he just literally wanted to do like, hey, it's gonna be Rogue 2, but this time it's the Bothans, and now they're getting the plans or the stuff for the second Death Star, which could just be the same movie. Maybe that might not be something I'd be interested in, and I'd rather see something else.
I would totally be interested in the Death Star. Like that would be a genuine sequel to Rogue One. How they got the plans for the second Death Star, the Bothans dying, because the Bothans don't steal the plans for it; they just have the plans and they die. How it happens? It's in Shadows of the Empire. Read the book; it's really good.
If Dash Render's in it, then yeah, okay, why not?
But that could be a good movie though. Like it could be a completely different heist. It could be a different genre movie too, but still like a more of a sequel.
Well, I think so. That's another reason that you have to kind of hear what it would be, because if it is kind of just more or less the same thing as Rogue One, then maybe that's not the best.
Sorry, someone just broke it to Proximus. Did we all heard that right?
Jesus.
You have
someone is not happy
in here. You haven't told us about.
Oh my god.
No, that was somebody hitting something. Anyways.
But if it's like The Hangover 2 and it's like, we're stealing Death Stars, except this time it's in Thailand or something like that.
I like obviously you don't greenlight something unless you hear what it is.
Yeah.
But I think he's someone who has been immersed into Star Wars for 30 plus years. He's been, I think since he was 15, he's been obsessed with Star Wars. He's a Star Wars guy. He knows what he's doing. I think he knows the stories that we want to know. I mean, Rogue One, his pitch for it was so genius. It's like, it's this part of the crawl. And you're like, yeah, there's a movie I'd watch. That sounds interesting. I mean, he didn't write the movie, didn't direct the movie, he had nothing to do with it. I mean, he had a lot to do with it, but you know what I mean? I think he has Star Wars ideas, and whatever. So do I. Moroff in Two Tubes Funny Adventure. Miss Moroff. That's how Moroff sounds.
He's like Borat.
and Pow's in it too.
And Pow. Final thing we're going to talk about quickly is Star Wars has said goodbye to December and hello to May. Andrew, I see you right now about to climax. How do you feel about that?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure how I feel about this yet, because I liked the May thing. I was loving the May thing back in the day because my birthday is on the 8th of June. Mm-hmm. So whenever a Star Wars movie came out, whatever year that was, my birthday was Star Wars.
When's your birthday?
The 8th of June.
Really? I haven't got an invitation for you on January 1st for your birthday party.
No, nothing from Facebook at all.
No? Well, stay tuned. I tend to send those at the last minute, so just keep your keep refreshing your page. But so, I've been the last 2 years and this year, I look forward to it again, having the Star Wars Christmases, which were interesting.
Yeah.
I don't mind it moving back in May. I get to have Star Wars birthdays again. The only thing I'm afraid of is just there's so much more competition in May.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is coming from Disney. Are they going to cannibalize themselves with their big Marvel properties, and their Pixar properties usually come out in early June too. So you're going to have a Star Wars movie that's being, the box office is being affected by your own studio. I mean, I know it's making enough money where they don't even necessarily need to care. They can just sit back and laugh and light cigars with $100 bills. But in December, you were the king of not only December, but January and most of February. Yeah. Putting Star Wars there was brilliant. Not to say that there's no competition in the winter months too, but that's award season. You get typically not so much blockbuster fare. So having Star Wars there was good counter programming to that. So I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know if this is smart from a financial standpoint, but I like it. I know I'm not mad about it.
I don't think it'd be wrong from financial. I think they've done the numbers. I feel like they know what they're heading into.
Yeah.
And I don't think they think that Episode 9 is going to make $1 billion, and Han Solo is not going to make $1 billion. I think that's what they're. And also, I think Avatar was not moving from. But how are they to be afraid of Avatar? Anyway, Rob, May.
I'm gonna actually call it right now because I think they're gonna move off that date. I think that's going to happen. I think they're actually going to move to December. I think the fact that what you're talking about the amount of competition that there's there. Again, I don't know the full competition in 2019, but I feel like after Han Solo comes out, they're going to realize that they are going to get hit by releasing Han Solo in 2018 May. 2018
But you don't
summer,
think they
when it's all
know that
unpacked.
going into it?
Well, perhaps, but
How would they not, like,
Maybe they're trying it out. Maybe that's my thing, because again, I as soon as this happened, I looked at the numbers, and for example, like Force Awakens. Force Awakens was number 1 at box office for 4 straight weeks. Rogue One was number 1 at the box office for 3 straight weeks. And then I looked at Han Solo and being released in late May. Han Solo comes out, and I was surprised about. Do you guys know what comes out the weekend right after Han Solo comes out?
I think it's Avengers, isn't it?
No, that's a couple weeks before, actually. Yeah. Deadpool 2 comes out immediately the weekend after.
But see, Deadpool 2, I think that is a mistake for Deadpool. Deadpool should not live. It's like when Ninja Turtles came out. It came out in August, killed. Comes out in June, dies. Deadpool's an R-rated film. You're going to throw that... See, Han Solo's not going to be affected by Deadpool.
You don't think it will?
Because I don't think it's going to.
I think maybe it won't be completely affected by Deadpool. I think that it will be affected that Han Solo will not be number 1 the weekend after.
It could be.
I highly
But
doubt
let's
it,
say this,
because-
though. Also, this, Brock, how about this? You put Han Solo in May because you're like, well, Han Solo's a good film. Disney, they're like, yeah, it's a good film. Lucasfilm, like, yeah, we're behind it. But it's not going to do the numbers that Force Awakens did, that Rogue One did, that Last Jedi is going to do. And they're like, you know what? The best way to disguise that is throw that in May. Put it out in May. Let it do what it does in May. If it crushes Deadpool week 2, we have a huge success, and everyone's like, oh my god, they know what they're doing. If it doesn't, then you can hide it. You can hide the numbers better in the summer.
But so you were mentioning that, like, the fact that Han Solo might not do as well as Rogue One. Rogue One made whatever it was 160 million the opening weekend. The weekend after, it made like 70 million. So if Han Solo's not going to get to what that is, there's no way Deadpool 2 is not making 100+ million in its opening weekend.
No,
Because the first one made 135 million in its opening weekend. So I don't see Deadpool 2 doing worse than that.
Right, Brock?
I don't know. I don't really care about this stuff. It has been fun going to these movies at Christmas. It would be nice to go to the first showing and it's not a snowstorm. I think it's a gamble, and you put a gamble on a scoundrel like that guy, Han Solo. I was thinking, like, do they ever like consider like what other Disney-owned properties are coming out at the same time? So like if you had like Avengers and then Han Solo and then I don't know what the other movie coming out, then I don't think there's any other, or like say a Pixar comes out the next week.
Yeah, that'll probably be the next one.
Yeah, so
There's an Ant-Man movie coming out that year.
does that work? Does that work in their favor, or I know they're supposed to be separate, but like, you know what I mean? Like, would it make more sense to dominate the summer with all your movies, sort of
Because
thing?
if you can't get into Avengers, you'll go see Han Solo. You
Exactly.
Can't get into Han Solo, you go see the Pixar movie. You can't get into the Pixar movie, you go see Ant-Man. You can't see Ant-Man, you go see Han Solo. So
Yeah.
it's just, I think
flood them.
they
Own
know
the whole box.
the people that make these decisions are.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the first one they've ever made. You know,
But I'd try it. I mean, we know it. Come on, Han Solo's gonna be okay. It's gonna
gonna be great.
It's gonna make movies or movies make money. Like, you know, there's gonna be a point where they don't make the exact same amount. You know what I mean? Like,
I think they're going to have to slowly avenge 2 billion, 1 billion, 1.5,
yeah,
900, 700, and then they'll probably live around 7,500
right.
for a while. Because eventually you're going to get sick of, or it's not going to be, we got to go see it right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Force Awakens, we all saw Force Awakens the first weekend, and a lot of people saw multiple times the first weekend. Rogue One, they didn't. Last Jedi, they might, but eventually, 9 you might. But the spin-offs, you're slowly going to be like, don't have to see it multiple times.
Yeah.
And I don't have to see it opening weekend. I'll wait till it slows down. And it's going to slow down because next week, Dory 300 is coming out.
Yeah.
So which is not the third Dory. It's the combination of Dory and 300.
300, yeah.
Where they all have ads.
This is
Dory.
the reef.
Anyway, for me, I like going in December.
Yeah.
It was fun. But snowstorms is also great. And you know what? I'm going to see it regardless, so it doesn't really affect me too much
Yeah.
at all whatsoever. It just it sucks that actually No, we only have 5 months in between Star Wars movies.
It would be nice if they all did Christmas releases, so then we could have more celebrations. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice. It's a nice placement of things.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna predict it that at some point next summer, like in 2018, they're gonna change it back to December. I still think that's gonna happen with Episode 9.
It's a complete possibility.
Yeah.
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird that they were like 9s in May. I thought it was just weird. I it was weird that you take Last Jedi and you're like, Last Jedi's in December. Completely get it. Like, I completely get it. But then you're like, no, Han Solo and 9 are staying in May. What? But and Last Jedi is definitely ready to go. Like, they could have got that thing ready.
Yeah.
Like, it's ready.
Remember, we would have been watching that like a week from now, back in the early times.
And as
the
of
dark times.
And as of right now, even in 2019, like I think something wound up taking that slot that they thought Episode 9 was going to take, but it wasn't a big movie because I think the first of the new Avatar batch is coming out in 2020, right?
Yeah. So
Am I the only one that like does not care about Avatar?
Yes,
or
I do not care.
fear it whatsoever. Like,
I don't fear it, but I do want to see it.
I'll go see it.
I don't think
but,
it
like,
would have stood a chance.
I'm just
against
like,
Star Wars.
Avatar. Can we just let that ship sail? Like,
No, James Cameron, he doesn't let ships sail, he lets them sink.
Oh yeah.
Too soon.
All right, let's wrap this thing up.
Yay.
We're done, guys. This has been Unleashed. We're talking spin-offs. It was a lot of fun. I'm James. You can find me on Petsafina. Brock, where can everybody find you on all the social medias?
on Tinder, you just look for Brock and be within 50 kilometers of me. That's wide. At BF Smink, Instagram, Twitter, or just search Brock Smink. I'll pop up on the internet.
At Andrew Fantasia on Twitter and Facebook, and that's it.
At Robert E. McDonald on Instagram and Twitter. Give me a follow.
Yeah.
Don't follow Andrew. He won't follow you back.
No.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. May the force of others be with you.
Yeah.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.